Give me a moment. My hands aren't as steady as they used to be. There, that's better. You see, people expect old men to start with advice, big statements, life lessons, warnings. But I don't have the strength for speeches anymore. What I have are memories and a few objects I never threw away. I'm sitting in a small room that used to be my study. It's not much now, just a desk, a chair that creaks when I lean back, and a window that doesn't close properly. The wind comes in through the crack at night, makes the curtains breathe in and out like something sleeping. I used to hate that sound. Now, I find it comforting. On the desk in front of me is a wooden box, scratched, corners chipped, smells faintly of dust and old paper. My late wife, used to call it my nonsense box, said if I ever got lost, all she had to do was open it and she'd understand who I was. I didn't believe her then. Inside the box are things that wouldn't matter to anyone else. A bus ticket from a city I never moved to. A watch that stopped working years before I did. A folded letter I never sent. And a photograph. That one still hurts a little. Let me start there. The photograph is black and white. 2 boys sitting on a concrete step. Bare feet. Torn shirts. One of them is smiling wide, missing a tooth. That one's me. The other boy is my brother Samuel, older by 3 years, serious face, always watching, always protecting. We were inseparable until we weren't. You see, life doesn't usually break things loudly. It separates them quietly. Day by day, choice by choice. Samuel wanted to stay. I wanted to leave. He said the world was cruel. I said it was waiting for me. He stayed behind to help our father. I boarded a bus with borrowed money and a head full of promises. I told him I'd come back soon. People say that a lot. I built a life after that. A respectable one. Job, marriage, children, schedules, responsibilities. You know the kind. Always busy, always tired, always postponing. Every year Samuel would write. Short letters, careful handwriting. Hope you're well. Father asks about you. The old mango tree finally fell. I always meant to reply properly. Not rushed, not tired. I wanted to sit down when I had time and write something meaningful. I kept the letters instead. They piled up in this box. Years passed. Father died. Then the letters slowed. Then they stopped. I noticed, of course. I just didn't act quickly enough. One morning, decades later, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. A woman's voice, calm, distant. She said my brother had passed in his sleep. Heart failure, they think. No pain, she said, as if that helped. I thanked her. I hung up. And then I sat on the edge of the bed for a very long time. Do you know what's strange? I didn't cry right away. I cried weeks later when I opened this box and realized every letter he sent was answered, only in my head. That's when I understood something I wish I'd learned earlier. Regret doesn't come screaming. It waits. It waits until you're quiet enough to hear it. These days, people ask me what I miss most about being young. They expect me to say strength, or ambition, or opportunity. But no, what I miss is the illusion that silence doesn't cost anything, because it does. Every unmade call, every postponed visit, every "I'll do it later," they don't disappear. They collect interest. I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I don't believe guilt changes people. Awareness does. If you're listening to this and thinking of someone you haven't spoken to in a while, that's not an accident. That's your mind nudging you while it still can. I still talk to Samuel sometimes, out loud, when the room is quiet. I tell him about the grandchildren he never met, about how the mango tree here fell too, eventually, about how I finally understand why he stayed. He doesn't answer, but I think he hears me. Give me a second. My voice, it wanders sometimes. There's a chair by the window in this room, old wooden thing, one leg shorter than the others, wobbles if you forget yourself and lean too fast. I keep meaning to fix it. I won't. That chair used to belong to my wife. She liked the window, said it helped her feel included, even when she didn't have the strength to go outside. She'd sit there every afternoon, same time, watching people pass. Neighbors, children, the mailman who never looked up. Life continuing without asking permission. I used to walk past that chair without stopping. You see, when you live with someone for a long time, you start believing they're permanent, like walls or doors. You don't study them anymore. You assume they'll be there when you turn back. That's a dangerous assumption. She started coughing one winter, soft at first, just little interruptions in her sentences. I told her we'd see someone about it, soon, after things slowed down, after the busy season, after whatever excuse came easiest that day. She didn't complain, never did. She just moved to the chair by the window more often, sat there quietly, breathing carefully, like air was something that needed to be rationed. I still didn't see it. One afternoon, I remember this clearly, she asked me to sit with her. Just for a moment, she said. I told her I would, after I finished one thing, one small thing. By the time I came back, she was asleep. Or so I thought. Hospitals are loud places, beeping, footsteps, murmured conversations you're not meant to hear. They told me I shouldn't blame myself. Doctors always say that. But blame isn't logical. It doesn't care what doctors say. After she was gone, the house changed its sound. Every room echoed differently. Silence became heavier. The chair by the window stayed where it was. I couldn't move it, still can't. I sit in it sometimes now. It creaks the way it always did. From here, I can see the same street she watched, same people passing, same mailman, new face, same habit of not looking up. Life is cruel that way. It doesn't pause when yours does. Do you know what haunts me? Not the day she died. It's the 1,000 ordinary moments before that. The conversations I half listened to. The time she reached for my hand and I was already thinking about something else. The way I treated her presence like a given. Love doesn't leave all at once. It fades in neglected moments. If I could speak to you, truly speak, not instruct, I'd say this. Sit down when someone asks you to sit. Listen when they speak slowly. Notice who waits for you, because one day no one will. I don't talk much now, not because I have nothing to say, but because there's no one left who needs to hear my voice every day. And that's something you don't understand until it happens to you. The chair by the window taught me this. Being there matters more than doing something important. I learned that too late. And memories, they take effort now. Next time, I'll show you something else from the box. Something small, something I carried for years without knowing why. If you're still listening, thank you for sitting with me. Just a moment. Sometimes my thoughts arrive faster than my mouth can follow. It's embarrassing, but that's age for you. In the box, underneath the letters in the photograph, there's a pair of shoes, brown leather, cracked at the sides, still stiff even now. I polished them once, just once. After that, they stayed as they were. They were meant for walking. I bought them when I was 42. I remember the day clearly, too clearly. I'd passed the shop dozens of times, always told myself I didn't need new shoes, always rushing somewhere else. That afternoon, I stopped. The man in the shop asked me where I planned to go in them. I laughed, said I wasn't going anywhere special. He smiled in that knowing way shopkeepers do and said, "Good shoes deserve a journey." I nodded, paid, took them home. I never wore them. Every year I told myself I would. On a trip, on a break, when things calmed down, when there was time to wander without purpose. They stayed in the box instead, waiting patiently like obedient dogs. Time passed, quietly. The soles hardened, the leather lost its softness. Somewhere along the way, my feet changed shape. Age does that. One morning, I tried them on. They didn't fit anymore. I sat on the edge of the bed holding those shoes, feeling foolish, not angry, just tired. Tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Do you know what that moment taught me? Some things expire without ever being used. Opportunities don't rot loudly. They dry out. They stiffen. And one day, you realize they were only meant for the person you used to be. I think about all the places those shoes could have taken me. Streets I never walked. Cities I only saw in magazines. Conversations with strangers I never met. Versions of myself that never got a chance to exist. And the strange part? It wasn't fear that stopped me. It was busyness. Busyness is the most polite excuse regret has. People think regret comes from failure, from bold risks that went wrong. But that's not true. Regret comes from the risks you kept postponing until they no longer recognized you. I keep the shoes to remind myself that intention is not action. Wanting is not doing. Planning is not living. If you're young and listening to this, and I suppose that's most of you, don't wait for the right moment to step into the life you imagine. The right moment has very soft feet. It passes without making noise. I can feel my voice slipping now. We'll stop here. Next time, I'll tell you about a sound I ignored for years, and how silence finally taught me what it meant. You may have to be patient with me. My hearing isn't what it used to be. Or maybe I just didn't listen enough when it mattered. There was a sound in our house, a small one, easy to miss. It came from the other room, usually in the evenings. A kind of tapping, soft, irregular, almost polite, like it didn't want to bother anyone. I noticed it. I just didn't investigate it. I assumed it was nothing, something loose, a pipe, the house settling. Old houses make sounds, and busy people make excuses. Busy people make many excuses. The sound went on for months, sometimes louder, sometimes barely there. My wife would pause mid-sentence, as if she heard it too. She'd look toward the hallway, then she'd say nothing and continue. I never asked. One night, I was working late at the table, papers spread everywhere, deadlines pressing down on me like a hand on my chest. The sound came again, closer this time, slower, tap, pause, tap. I remember feeling irritated, not worried, irritated, as if life had inconvenienced me. When I finally stood up and walked down the hall, I found her sitting on the floor. She'd dropped a glass. It had shattered. She was trying to clean it up with a towel, one careful movement at a time, breathing shallowly, hands shaking. The tapping was her wedding ring against the floor. She looked up at me and smiled, a weak little smile, the kind you give when you don't want to be a problem. I didn't want to interrupt you, she said. That sentence never left me, because love should never have to ask permission. I helped her up, put her in the chair by the window, cleaned the glass, told her everything was fine. And it was, technically. No blood, no emergency, nothing dramatic. That's the thing. The moments that matter most don't announce themselves. They whisper. After she was gone, that sound haunted me. Not the ring, the silence that followed. A house without small noises, no reminders, no interruptions, just emptiness pretending to be peace. If you live with someone, really live with them. Listen for the small sounds, the sighs, the pauses, the hesitations, the way their voice changes when they're tired or afraid or trying not to be a burden. Those sounds are invitations. Ignore them long enough, and one day there will be nothing left to hear. All right. Let me take a breath first. There we go. I used to love calendars. They made life feel organized, predictable, like time could be managed if you stacked it neatly enough. Rows, columns, little boxes waiting to be filled with purpose. This one is still in the box, a paper calendar, yellowed at the corners. The year printed at the top doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what isn't written on it. Most of the days are empty. When I first retired, I bought that calendar with optimism. I told myself I'd finally use time properly. Travel, read, visit people, take walks without checking the hour. I wrote a few things in the first month. Doctor's appointment, lunch with an old colleague, one family birthday. Then, the ink stopped. At first, the empty squares felt like freedom. Nothing demanded me. No alarms, no urgency. I could wake up whenever I liked. But silence, like time, changes character when it lingers. Weeks passed, then months. I'd turn the page and see nothing waiting for me. No names, no places, no plans, just empty space staring back. Do you know what empty time does to a person? It makes you question whether you still matter. Busyness once exhausted me. Emptiness frightened me. I realized something uncomfortable. For years, my worth had been measured by how full my calendar was. Meetings meant relevance. Deadlines meant importance. Without them, I felt lighter, yes, but also thinner, like I could disappear without anyone noticing. One afternoon, I sat at the table with a pen, staring at that calendar. I tried to force something into the squares, anything, a task, an obligation, a reason to leave the house. My hand shook, not from age, from uncertainty. That's when I understood. A full life isn't about a full schedule. It's about meaningful marks. A single lunch with someone who wants to hear your voice can outweigh 20 appointments no one remembers. Eventually, I learned to write differently, not what I would do, but who I would see. Not errands, connections, not tasks, moments. Tea with Margaret, walk with the neighbor's dog, call my son. The calendar changed shape after that. Fewer entries, heavier ones. If you're young, you might be afraid of an empty calendar. Fill it with work, with noise, with movement. That's natural. Just don't confuse motion with meaning. I feel the strain now. Next time, I'll tell you about a voice message I listened to too late. A short one, only a few seconds long, but long enough to change me. Thank you for not rushing me. I almost didn't keep this one. There's a small phone in the box. Not smart, just functional. Buttons worn smooth, screen scratched like it's been through things. It still turns on, if you're patient. I don't use it anymore, but I keep it charged. Habit, I suppose, or guilt. Hard to tell the difference at my age. There's a voice message saved on it, only one, from my son. It's short, 23 seconds. I remember seeing the missed call when it came in. I was tired, had just sat down. Told myself I'd listen later when I could give it proper attention. Later is very persuasive. The message begins with breathing, a little shaky, like he wasn't sure how to start. Hi, Dad. I just wanted to hear your voice. That's it. No emergency, no request, no urgency, just a reaching out. I listened to it weeks later, by accident. My thumb slipped while I was clearing old messages. By then, he was busy. Busy the way young people are, moving fast, building lives, assuming their parents will always be there when things slow down. I never told him I saved it. I play it sometimes now, not often. Too much can bruise the heart. But when I do, I close my eyes and imagine the man he was becoming, standing somewhere with a phone in his hand, unsure if he should press call. Do you know what hurts the most? That my silence taught him to be careful with me. Parents think they're shaping children with big lessons, rules, discipline, advice. But most of what children learn comes from how reachable you are when they need you for no reason at all. I taught him distance without meaning to. If you have someone who calls you just to hear your voice, answer, even if you're tired, even if you have nothing important to say, especially then, because one day you'll give anything to hear a voice that once felt ordinary. I didn't like mirrors when I was younger. Not because of vanity, not really. I just didn't trust them. They had a way of catching you when you weren't ready, when you weren't performing, when you were just there. For years, I avoided looking too closely. A quick glance while shaving, a nod of recognition, nothing more. as if staring longer might invite a conversation I didn't have time for. One morning, not long after I stopped working, I caught my reflection by accident. The bathroom light was too bright, the mirror unforgiving. I didn't recognize the man looking back at me. Not because he was old. I expected that. Hair thinned, lines settled in places I didn't remember earning them. No, it was the expression. He looked unfinished, like someone who had paused mid-sentence and never quite returned to finish the thought. I leaned closer, studied the eyes. That's where time leaves its deepest marks. They weren't sad, they weren't angry, they were cautious, as if the man behind them had learned too late how fragile everything was. I remember touching the glass, just to be sure it was me. You spend your life imagining who you'll become, stronger, wiser, calmer, but no one tells you that age doesn't just add things, it removes them. Certainty, urgency, illusions. What remains is quieter. I asked the man in the mirror a question that morning, out loud. Felt foolish doing it, but there was no one else around to hear. Did you do enough? He didn't answer. That silence was louder than any accusation. I wasn't asking about success, or money, or reputation. I was asking something simpler, something heavier. Did you love well? Did you listen? Did you show up when it mattered? The mirror didn't lie. It never does. From that day on, I stopped rushing past my reflection. I let myself be seen, even by myself. Flaws, regrets, softness, all of it. There's relief in honesty, even late honesty. If you're young and avoiding the mirror, not the physical one, but the quiet questions inside you, don't wait as long as I did. Those questions don't go away. They grow more patient and more precise. That's enough for now. Next time, I'll tell you about a birthday card that arrived after the person was already gone. Let me sit back a little. My chest feels tight when I talk about this one. Some things arrive exactly on time. Others arrive when they can no longer be received. This card came in a plain white envelope. No return address, just my name written carefully. The handwriting was familiar before I even opened it. It was from my sister. You see, we weren't close at the end. Not because of anger, not even because of disagreement, just distance. Years of it, quiet, unspoken, unchallenged. The card was for my birthday. Inside, she'd written only a few lines. She always was economical with words. I was thinking about you today. I hope you're well. I miss how we used to laugh. That was it. No guilt, no accusations, just a reaching out. The kind that doesn't demand anything in return. I remember holding that card for a long time, long enough to notice how thin the paper felt, long enough to think about how easy it would be to call her, how simple it would be to bridge the years with a single conversation. I placed the card on the table and told myself I'd respond properly, with care, with time, with the right words. You know how this ends. 2 days later, my niece called. Her voice was steadier than it should have been. She told me her mother had passed in her sleep. Peacefully, they said, as if peace could erase timing. The card was still on the table, unanswered. I don't keep many things on display, but that card stays out, not as punishment, as reminder, because reconciliation doesn't need perfection, it needs immediacy. People think silence is neutral. It isn't. Silence is a decision, and sometimes it's the wrong one. If there's someone in your life you've been meaning to reach out to, someone you've drifted from without really deciding to, don't wait for the right words. Any words will do. I'll tell you about a small habit I picked up too late and how it changed the way I experience days. Thank you for staying with me through this. Let me take this slowly. This one is quieter than the others. Mornings used to be a battle. Alarms, clocks, lists already forming in my head before my feet touched the floor. Even after I stopped working, my body still woke up braced for urgency, like it was afraid of being late for something that no longer existed. One morning, nothing special about it really, I forgot to set the kettle on right away. Just stood there in the kitchen, looking out the window. The light was thin, pale, the kind of light that doesn't ask for attention. I stood longer than I meant to. At some point, I noticed my breathing had slowed. Not intentionally, it just did. My shoulders dropped, my jaw unclenched. It felt unfamiliar, almost suspicious. That's when it occurred to me. I had been rushing even when there was nowhere to go. We don't stop habits just because life changes. We carry them forward, like old reflexes, long after they're useful. So that morning, I decided to try something small. I sat down, didn't check the time, didn't plan the day, didn't reach for the paper or the phone. I just sat. Listened to the house wake up, pipes warming, a bird outside arguing with the air, my own breath, uneven but present. It felt uncomfortable at first. Stillness exposes things, thoughts you've been outrunning, feelings you postponed because they slowed you down. But then something else happened. Time widened. Not more time, just deeper time. The kind you can step into instead of sprinting through. Since then, I've started most days like that. Sitting, breathing, letting the day arrive instead of chasing it. It doesn't make life perfect. It doesn't erase regret, but it gives me space. And space, I've learned, is where gentleness lives. If you're always rushing, always filling every moment, ask yourself what you're afraid might catch you if you slow down. My voice is nearly gone now. There's one more thing I want to leave you with. Not advice, not a warning, just an offering. I'll try to finish this slowly so you can hear every word if you'll stay with me. I thought I knew what life was when I was young. Ambition, work, plans, a long list of things to do before I could rest. I thought I'd understand it all by 40, 50, by 60. I thought I'd have mastered it. I hadn't. It's simpler than I imagined, and more fragile. I've learned that life isn't about success. It isn't about filling calendars, chasing letters, climbing ladders. It isn't even about love, exactly. Life is about presence, about noticing the quiet, about listening when someone's small voice reaches you, about sitting even when there's nothing urgent to do, about holding a hand, saying a word, touching a life before it slips away. I think of the shoes I never wore, the chair by the window, the voice message I didn't answer, the card I never sent, the mirror I avoided, the empty squares on the calendar, the sound in the other room, the morning I stopped rushing. Each of them taught me the same thing. Time is the only currency we can't earn back. We think we have forever. We believe the world waits while we get ready. It doesn't. It just keeps moving, whether we notice or not. And one day, the quiet reminders stop. The people stop calling. The cards stop arriving. The echoes in the rooms are all that remain. I'm 83 now. I have more days behind me than ahead, probably. And yet, I feel peace I never knew at 30, 40, even 50, because I finally see, finally understand, not in big gestures, not in dramatic moments, but in small ones, the ones that last. A shared laugh, a hand held, a voice heard, a presence offered. If you're listening, I hope you'll remember this. Don't wait. Don't postpone. Don't believe there's always another day. Sit. Speak, reach out, notice, love, because those small acts, they are the life you'll remember when nothing else remains. That's all I have. Thank you for sitting with an old man who finally learned to slow down. I hope you don't wait as long as I did.